Hi, you're tuned into Honestly Friends Pod with Day and Lee, where we talk about life, love, friendships, and the culture. Hey, Lee.
Hey Day, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm well rested. Enjoying my
Ah,
coffee.
that's good to hear.
Peaceful weekend. Surprisingly peaceful, but actually am enjoying it. Like I have nothing really to do except for what I want to do when I want to do it. I haven't had that in
Hey,
a long time. So yeah.
that's really good. That's awesome.
So now
So
we
I
can
know
do
you.
our
I know you have a something you wanted to talk about, something you wanted to bring to light.
yeah,
And what
because
was
like
that?
we can have our little chatting session, and I brought this up to you a few weeks ago, and it was random and it comes to me randomly, but I think we were just talking one day and I was like, you know what, like Day, like honestly, don't you ever feel like the internet makes you feel bad about yourself? I don't know
Yeah.
why I can't evade it, and it may feel like maybe I should feel stupid for admitting it, but it's just like, I'll be going through the info page or going through my actual page or the people that I follow versus and who follow me, and it's just like sometimes the internet makes me want to just like throw it away because it's like I don't consider myself a person who likes to compare myself to other people, and I'm genuinely happy for other people. But where I'm coming from that is that it's just like you can't help but compare. And on these social media pages, it's just ghastly amazing how their lives look.
Mm-hmm. I
And it's
can
just like, how? Now, how did they do that?
I
I'm
can
happy
relate
for
to
them,
that.
but I'm just
Yeah.
like, what am I doing with my life?
It makes it's I think it's super hard. Like we pioneered our generation pioneered the age of the internet really where social media was born. We saw social media become born with like MySpace and then Facebook and then Instagram and Twitter and then what is it now? TikTok. I'm saying what is it now? Like I'm not on
Snapchat,
there. And Snapchat. Like we
Vine. We have seen things come and go.
yeah, we've seen things come and go. And it's like with all of that, like it's we're so exposed to
Hmm.
everyone and what everyone's doing, their daily lives or their weekly lives or their monthly lives, whatever it is, and whatever it is that they want to specifically put out there. Like if someone is buying a new car and it's like this amazing luxury car but they're 25 years old and it's like how can you afford that, or they're buying a house and it's you know, how are you affording these things, or how are you living this life, and what job do you do, and how are you getting this all done? It can be tough, and it's like you, I would rather not compare myself to other people, but it becomes kind of hard when you're like watching other people like live what seems to be really extraordinary lives and doing amazing things, and then you kind of feel like, well, what's going on with me? Why isn't
Hmm.
my life progressing at that pace? Like
Hmm.
why am I not, whatever it is that you want to attain, like why have I not done it, but it seems very easy for this person, that person, and these all these other people? It could be tough.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I am not a social media person. Like you said, we were both. I was a sophomore. You were a freshman. No, or right. No, I was a freshman. You were probably a high school senior when Facebook came out and it was available to college students. And whatever, I did fine with it, and I didn't mind having a profile. It was new and it was shiny and cool. But I remember when it like I think Instagram came out, I started being like, you know what, I see where it's going, and I was uncomfortable with it. I kn- I knew that it was going to be more about like instead of casually sharing your life, it was going to be expected of you to share your life. And I knew from that point, like I couldn't compete. I already knew I couldn't compete because that's not something I enjoy. I would have enjoyed doing. And when I saw that becoming the norm, I was like, well, I'm opting out. So yeah, I'll have Facebook or whatnot. I did have Twitter for a little bit. I'm locked out of my Twitter, but it's connected to my undergrad email address, and I don't know how to get in that. I'm not going to try to because I got to go through a whole rigmarole. So I let Twitter go. But it wasn't until 2020 when I got on Instagram. And even now, like I don't post at all compared to most people. I will look. I am a what are they? what are those things called?
You lurk.
I lurk. I do lurk. But yeah, like I don't know where I stand with social media, but you know what's weird? Like I want to be a content creator. How does that work?
I know.
I'm gonna admit it. I want to be a content creator, and like with us doing the podcast, like I like the thought of making money from just being myself.
Yeah. No,
But
facts.
It's like I don't like to share. So I know there's a journey that I'm going to have to go on, and I'm going to have to be uncomfortable, which that actually excites me. I like being put in uncomfortable positions. That's the only thing that's going to like try to help me. But I don't want it to affect my mental health, and I'm scared of that in the future.
I can tell you it's happened to me. Mm-hmm. It's happened to me. And you know that, like, there have been times, a couple different times actually, that I've deactivated like my personal Instagram page because I felt overwhelmed a lot of times. Like I felt super overwhelmed, like looking at other people's life and just feeling like, well, what do I have going on? I don't have much going on. Like I'm not really even hanging out too much with like people. Like I don't know. It's like it can take a mental toll, especially if you're already going through something else. Like and you know, for me, like one of the things that I be going through is the stress of my job. Like my job, my work is a little bit demanding. It's not hard, but it is super demanding. And so like that alone puts like pressure on me, stress on me. And then I'm like looking at people and they're like, you know me, I love to travel and people are going to these amazing, extravagant places all the time. And I'm like, I don't feel like I have time for that. I don't feel like I have enough money for that. Like, you know, I live on my own and I pay my own bills and, you know, whatever. And that's amazing. I'm doing a damn thing. But now I can't go on 3-4 vacations a year because I have other bills and other things to take care of. And I'm just like, but I want to go on vacation. I want to do 3-4 vacations and just live up the life. And that makes me sad because I have like wanderlust. Like I think I've always had it. I love to go to different places. So even little things like that have me like, what's going on with my life? Like now I'm feeling sad because I haven't been able to do this or do that or whatever the case may be. And I've taken breaks from social media a few different times. Yeah. And I try to just go on there just for jokes. Like I think I'll like get off Instagram and get on TikTok because I'm like that I don't know anybody on there and I can just see what everybody else is doing and have my laughs about whatever it is and escape in that way. But like in other aspects like social media, like Instagram especially, because it's like you can really see what your peers are doing, that has taken a toll on me in the past.
Yeah, and two things that I thought about to your point about the first one being like, how are these people living their lives? And number two is like taking a break. So the how are these people living their lives? When I look at, I'm like, what camera did you get? Like, how, is there a class? Like the effects of the reels and the stories, that itself is intimidating. I'm like, you need a whole job to do this. And you can hire people. It gets so convoluted. And I'm like, these people, I'm sure they're not cheap. And I'm like, I have to do all of that. And who knows if it's going to like be successful. And if that's what I want to do, especially like, you know, we're both doing things this year in the area of content creating and we're new at it. So it's just like, it's overwhelming. And then it's like, I know I'm not stupid, but it makes you feel really stupid. Yeah. And it's like, how do you keep up? It's like how I feel like my parents felt when the computers came out. We're the computer generation, and they felt a little bit lost as they got older in it. And some people decide, well, I'm not going to deal with it. And some people decide, I'm not only am I not going to deal with it, I'm going to be angry about it and say like it's stealing jobs and this and that. And I don't want to be like that. And I don't think I have that opinion, but I do get the frustration because it's like, I mean, how do I keep up? Yeah. Do I really want to do this? And also with like taking a break. In the beginning, I got on Instagram in 2020 when we went on our trip to Costa Rica, right? I always knew because I tend to like be a productive person. Like I tend to give myself only an hour of social media a day.
Yeah, I think that's super healthy.
Yeah.
Because I do that.
I was going to say because you do not.
I don't do that.
I was going to say you would do the opposite. But
I
that
give
is
myself
even kind
23 hours a day.
of that is even kind of like, I've broken that rule. I'll be on it for a while, and I think I'm gonna actively starting tomorrow. I'll let myself have today go back to an hour, and it used to be an hour before I went to sleep, like just to see it, because you'll go down a rabbit hole and be on
Sure.
it the whole day. And I just wonder, like, is that can't be good for society?
It
Because
can't
what are you
be.
spending your days on? And then you're just looking at other
Nothing.
people's lives. Where's the
Yeah.
production in that? And like, imagine there are children doing that. How are they going to learn certain skills in life? I am just like, it concerns me. So not only is it depressing for you, when I think about like what is happening to us as a society, it's not good. It's not good at
Because we're not
all.
socializing really a lot
Yeah.
in real life anymore. I mean, some people are. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to say it's everybody, but it's like a lot of time is spent online. A lot of interactions is spent
Mm-hmm.
through the phone. It's spent texting, maybe calling. And a lot of times I hear people even talk about that, like, oh, I don't like talking on the phone. I like texting. And it's like, it just takes away like that human interaction too, from
Mm-hmm.
like really engaging with people, really having to listen, really having to think,
Mm-hmm.
like on the spot, like, in a conversation like we're having right now, it's like you're talking, you give your points, I'm talking, you give your points, whatever the case may be. But when you're texting, it's like, well, you can get a text at 1 p.m. in the afternoon and decide to respond to somebody at 7 p.m. because you just didn't want to deal with it then. And so
And
it's
that's
like, it just takes away that human aspect and that connection point that we have with people. And so many people like prefer to see what other people are just doing with themselves. Like it's a form of escapism. Like I always talk about TikTok,
mm,
man, like how I'm on there and it's fun. It's especially when I'm actually down and depressed, and I'll get on there and it's like people are doing like really funny things, really whatever, and it's like it helps me to escape. But it's like how much am I being productive then in that? Not that much, and it's not really helping me escape anything, because whatever my problems are still my problems once I get off my phone.
mm-hmm. And then like if we all just have the recourse of escaping, we don't have good coping skills,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not going to learn how to cope with whatever we're trying to escape from.
Yeah.
So and like you mentioned the whole texting thing. It burns my biscuits when people think they can just text me. I'm not going to have a whole conversation to you through text. I'm
You
not.
know me.
And there are people in my life that, I mean, I text them back, but if you think we're going to be close, we're not. Like it will be very like dry or whatever. I'm not going to go deeper. I'm not going to
Mm.
do that. But I think that people that are younger than us just do straight texting and they're okay with that. But then
Yeah.
I think they're having issues relating to other people, platonic and romantic. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem for society to keep going if people can't have platonic and romantic relationships.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't nobody see this happening?
No, and it's super annoying. You know me, when it comes to texting, like I'm a phone person. Like as soon as
Mhm.
somebody starts texting me, especially if it's a second text message, I'm like, all right, so I'm picking up the phone
Yeah.
and calling you, because clearly you have time. I'm just like, clearly you have time. If you are texting back and forth, you obviously have time. Let's just, instead of
Mhm.
spending 30 minutes texting, let's spend the next 10 minutes having a conversation, because now it's going to be faster. I don't have time for that. Like, but I'm a phone person.
Mm-mm.
Maybe it's my age, but I'm a phone person, and regardless. So,
Okay. I mean,
mm,
I hope, but I see that we're just so enthralled on our phones. I think even the government is taking cues, because at first when they were talking about that whole TikTok is messing with what's that thing called, national security, I kind of believed it. I was like, because there's supposed that tensions are rising between America and China. So I was like, oh, okay. But I'm like, if China really wanted to, they can do it in so many different ways in TikTok. I'm not saying they're not doing it through TikTok, but they can do it through the TV, through work, through
mm-hmm.
computer systems, through banking systems. And so then what I realized? People are making money from TikTok, and then people not going to work. And so when people don't
Oh,
go to
that's a
work,
fact.
that's the problem. America works on the working class, and you know, if we don't have a good economy, then that is a form of national security, because it's just gonna, everything's gonna go to shit. But it's just like, be honest, y'all want
Yeah.
us to work as barely enslaved people. Like, slavery's over with, but the working system is like indentured servitude for real. Like, there's no quality of life. And
Mm-hmm.
people have cotton on. I'm like, well, I don't want this. And if I can make money off of being a content creator and just being myself, bye job, you ain't never gonna hear from me again. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are doing it.
We trying to do it.
We try. I promise.
You know my motto. I
Sweet baby
forgot that
Black Jesus.
person. I forgot that person that said it. But remember, my favorite thing is I'm trying to get this money by tomorrow. Like, baby,
Tomorrow.
as soon as I figure this thing out, it's a wrap for everybody.
I am not ashamed to say it. Like, I really hope it goes off for us, because I don't care about how many degrees we have between the two of us. I do not care. I will do it. I do not care, because
I don't want to work. I've never dreamed.
I do want to work, but my
I've never
dream
dreamed
job
of
is to do what I want to do.
Labor. Yeah, I've
and
never
I have
dreamt
a
of
problem with
traditional labor.
authority. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just like,
Oh,
why
you
not?
have the same problem.
Let me dip
That's-
my toe in this pool.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully with that we don't contribute to making other people feel bad about themselves, because that's what we talk about here. Hopefully we don't, but it's, yeah, I mean, yes, like, people have caught on to the fact that you can just live your regular daily life, go to Starbucks, go to Target, and make $30,000 a day doing that. And why would you not want to, right? And then even that makes me feel bad, because sometimes, like, I'll try to dip my toe, like, I've tried to dip my toe into, like, being like a travel blogger, and that made me feel bad, because I'm seeing like other travel bloggers just always travel, and I'm like, I gotta go to my regular job and get the money to travel. Like, I can't even fully do that, because like, life is lifing, like, and that's a vacation. And unless somebody wants to come to me today and say, hey, listen, you know, you got the look, just go ahead, we'll pay for your vacation, we'll pay for this. I'm like, how are y'all doing it? But like, people figure out a way to do it, and even that has made me like sad. I'm like, I just want to go on vacation too. I just want to get paid to vacation too. I want to get paid to put on my skincare products like I do every day. And then when I see other people just, and my perfume, you know, my little collection of all my beauty things, I just want to get paid for doing it. And when I see other people doing it, that makes me sad. Like, I'm just like, well, damn, this is much harder work than I thought it was going to be. And I'm not breaking out into it like I thought I would. And now I'm depressed about it. I'm sad about it. You know me, I'm so dramatic. I'll be depressed in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, like, I just want you to, like, not to get too down on yourself, like, because that just comes with the territory. Working hard on a 30-second video or story and be like, only 2 views. Like, that doesn't really get down on me, because I feel like if you keep going.
You know how many times I post something and I go to sleep and I'm like, ooh, when I wake up, this thing going blow up. And then only 3 people seen it, and I'm like, oh my God.
And it be your mama and your boyfriend.
And I'm like, what?
Thank God for all those people. Yeah. That part doesn't make me feel bad about myself.
No, I'll be feeling bad because I hype myself up. I'll be like, ooh, this is it. Yeah. This the one.
But if you do compare yourself to other creators, it's like, well, what do they have that I don't? I don't know. Yeah, it can be. And then
it could be even other things too. It could be other things as well. Like, I know at some point I've like compared myself, like in my 20s, my early 30s, I'm like, everybody around me is getting married and I'm not. And like, that's made me sad. And definitely like, oh, these people have bought homes and I haven't. And they're working on their second home and I haven't like bought a first one yet. And that's made me sad. And it's like, it's also so important. Like, I have to remind myself a lot. Like, life is a marathon and it's not a race. And, you know, the things that are meant for you are going to come to you at the time that you're ready to receive them. And it doesn't matter when that is. It doesn't matter, like, if you're 20 when it comes or if you're 50 when it comes. Like, when it's for you, it's going to be at the perfect time. but I have to
You remember?
constantly remind myself of that.
Yeah, because you remember when we both said we was gonna be married by 30?
Girl, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I've
What?
always been like that. These are my kids' names. Like, I was the kid with the marriage mind. I was just like, I'm gonna be married. I legitimately thought that I was gonna go to college and get married like the day after graduation. Like, and that has not happened. And it's just like, but you know, also the beauty in that for me is that the more things don't happen, the more things happen. So yes, I didn't get married at like 22 like I thought, or 25, or at 30 like I thought, but something that opened up for me was traveling. I never thought I would travel and see some of the places that, you know, you and I have been to together, like places I've been with other friends, and I'm like, I would not have known that if I had been
Probably
married.
not.
We would not have this podcast if I was the wife and mother that I wanted to be when I was 25. And now I can't see myself not doing this, because this is actually something I think before I knew what it was, is something I always wanted to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, I like that, the fact that life didn't shape out the way I wanted it to shape out, but the shape, whatever it is that's happening, it is coming together beautifully for me. So,
well, that's good.
You know, that's another thing to keep in mind, because for every setback, I recognize that I'm finding myself in places that I didn't imagine could happen for me. And I like it. I do like it.
And I like that for you. I'm glad you feel like that, and that you're not in a regretful place. So that's
never.
Awesome.
I regret nothing. Thankfully. That's a motto of mine. I'm like, I live life with no regrets ever.
I have some regrets, but they're not major at all.
Not me though. Not me, but I do take lessons from things. Like, I'll take lessons from things, but I'm like, to regret it is to have not learned, I think, is my thing with that. Like, maybe I didn't do something the right way, or something didn't happen the right way, but it's like, I always learn a lesson. As long as I'm learning, I'm growing, and I prefer to grow than anything else.
Yeah, and in the context of not, like you say, you don't have regrets, that's good, because, you know, with social media, it can make you think that, like, you should regret your life because you're comparing it to somebody else's. But one thing that kind of helps me is that a lot of the stuff that we see on social media is not true. These travel bloggers, some of them, or any type of blogger, they do the highlights of their life. They don't talk about the lowlights of their life. And it's misleading. I don't think they mean to mislead people, but I have yet to find someone who talks about all aspects of it, like the bloopers of their life. We see the highlighted reels, and it's like, you know, there are pages about relationships, like the Black Love pages, which are really nice to look at, but they don't talk about how these people be fighting or may have a toxic relationship, or now that they have this page, they just do stuff for the page and they secretly just wish they had the relationship back. And, you know, it's a slippery slope, and you just have to remember, like, a lot of this stuff is not true, unfortunately. So when you're comparing your life, if you have a life that you are happy with, the truth, the good and the bad, that needs to be enough for you, and because you can get carried away.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that too, like, I also have to remind myself, and I've had conversations with other people regarding this. Content creators don't owe it to anybody to post the bad parts of their life. We owe it to ourselves to recognize that life happens for everybody. So yeah, someone's not going to post themselves crying, because, to be honest, if I see somebody get on social media in a live or on anything crying about something, I'm also judging you for that, because why are you doing that? Like, no one owes it to us to post
Why
that
would you judge them for that?
I don't know, because I just be judging. I don't know. Just like I judge everything else. Just like I judge everything. I mean, I'll be empathetic about it. Like, you know that I am an empathetic person, depending on what it is. But it's like, if someone consistently came on to report the bad in their life, I'm gonna start being like, that's a lot.
Consistent. It's not consistent though. It's both the highs
right.
and lows.
Right. But also, I feel like people don't owe it. Like, because I would hate to have a platform and then have to come and say, well, this is what's going on with this and that or whatever. Like, you can do it. So people do it here and there, and that's fine or whatever. But it's like, also, we do have to remember that people do not owe it to anybody to come and say, my car got repossessed yesterday, or my husband was caught cheating for the 15th time this year. They don't owe that to people either. And so I think another takeaway is that I have to put in my mind too sometimes, is like, just because somebody's posting the highlights of their life, that's for them to feel good about their life. Like, it's okay for them to show their happy moments, and they don't owe me their sad moments. They're living their sad moments, and they're overcoming their sad moments, and and things like that. Like, it's okay for them to not want to put that out there, because people will remember that, and who wants to be remembered for the bad things that happen in your life? Like,
I would hate it like that. I never thought about it.
I would hate it. I never
thought that people would not want to see that. I thought some people would appreciate that.
I like
but
when
it's not sounding like you would appreciate it.
No, I mean, I like when I can feel like someone is being honest and real, but I had to come to a conclusion that people I do not know do not owe me things. People I don't know don't owe me to say, yeah, like, I'm having a crappy day. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I don't think they owe, because when if anybody were to try to tell me that I owe them anything, baby, that's the quickest way for me to not do what you want me to do. So yeah, I get that. And so I do agree with you in the fact that it's up to us to self-regulate and always remember that this is only the good parts that they show. They don't show the other parts of their life, which are very well happening, even if we don't know to what extent. Like, because nobody escapes the highs and the lows of life.
Like, because one of my favorite creators, one of my favorite beauty creators, and I won't say I followed her the whole entire time, but Desi Perkins, I wasn't following her consistently, and she has 2 beautiful children now. But after she had her first one, that's kind of when I tapped into her. And or when she was pregnant with her first child, that's when I tapped into her. And I found out that along her journey of becoming a mother, she'd had a lot of miscarriages. And it's like, can you imagine if she came on every single time that happened and be like, guys, guess what? I had a miscarriage. Like, nobody, like, I'm just saying, like, people, hopefully at some point you come and say, like, this is life, and this is an aspect of my life, and it's not always as beautiful, but it's like, people are going to post their highlights. Like, she's probably going to post, like, had a miscarriage last month, but she's going to come and show the time when she's made up and going to a beauty influencer event, because why would she want to post something that makes her sad all the time? So it's like, those things I think about, like, not to make myself feel better about anything or whatever, but it's like, people don't want to post like their bad, their negative, their things that bring them down, and have it out there forever. So, like, it's up to me, it's up to you, it's up to other people to self-regulate. And I think for me, one of the ways that I do that is by disengaging in social media, because it's easy to forget that people are living lives just like me and you, and they're going through ups and downs just like me and you, and they sad and they upset and they frustrated just like me and you, because we only get to see when they're like, I'm going to this event and I'm doing that, and me and this person is doing that, and girls trip and vacation and bought this new house and bought this new car, but we don't get to see the journey that took them there, and they don't owe it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm hoping that other people do take social media hiatuses. I haven't taken hiatuses like you, but I think the way you do it is healthy. Or if not, set some type of boundary. Because I mean, lately, I would say in the last 3 months, I have been on social media much more than I have lurking, not posting, because I don't really post like that, but I do be lurking.
And same, I've been on there and I barely post. Well, I post on our stuff, but that's it.
And I mean, it was to the point where it was all day, and I think it affected like my brain. eye brain connection, and it got to the point where I was still wired when I would get off and go to bed, and I couldn't sleep. And I had a feeling, I was like, my mental activity was still running, even though I knew it was time for me to go to bed, and I was somewhat tired, but my body could not wire down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I'm like, okay, I really got to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have since stopped doing that, probably about 2 weeks now, because it was getting out of control. And I'm like, what happened to my hour a limit day? I was on it all day, and that's just something personally, because of other life circumstances, I am on it a lot more. I don't like that, but as soon as I get rid of that part of my life, then it'll be out, so I won't have to be on there as much. But yeah, because then now, even when I'm on it, I'm just like, I don't even want to be on here. Why am I on here? Just keep scrolling. No, I just keep scrolling. What else am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. None of this is
because
really,
social
like,
media is
entertaining
addicting.
me. And
It's just
so,
addicting.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you, I was so bad at one point. I think the first time, no, it's true. I think the first time that I was like, I need to get off social media, I follow, like, I don't know how many people, like on my Instagram, maybe 500 plus people. Of course, everyone's not posting every day, but there are certain pages that I follow that like the Shade Room I follow, which sometimes I'm like, I probably didn't need to stop following them because it's not always good, positive things. But I follow like a few business types, fashion, blah, blah, blah. And one day I was on there so long that Instagram told me, you've seen everything that needed to be seen. Like it literally told me like, there are no new posts. And I was like, I didn't know it was possible either. And I think that was like right around the time that I was like, I got to get off of here. Because I'm clearly on here so much that I've seen everything that I needed to see. Everything that I could possibly see, I saw. And it's just like, oh, yeah, no, you're addicted. You are addicted to this. Like, get off social media.
I'm not laughing at addiction. But yeah, no, like it's to the point where, you know, when you curate your page and like not interested. So eventually your page becomes homogenized and it's the same thing. So mine is all about cute black girls, cute black couples, like, and it's just like, it's the same thing though. Like, how much can you see this? When they try to show me something, like, don't show me this. I don't want to see this. Like, no, I don't want to see this. But it's like, it funnels down. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this. That's when I know it needs to end today and probably for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing?
And I think, like, aside from just like inactivating my like social media page here and there and for months at a time, something that I try to like I try to fill my time with other things. So like I'll maybe fill my time with like just connecting with friends. I'll probably fill my time with like watching TV. Sometimes I fill my time with working because I have a lot of work. And other times I feel like another thing I like to do is read. And I try to fill my time with doing that because I'm like, well, I'd rather be reading and learning a new word rather than watching what other people are doing with their lives. So
yeah, because watching what other people do with their lives and always being on the outward and not being concerned about your life inward and developing it and making sure it's the best that it can be at this particular point in your life is detrimental.
It is.
And I don't think that's why we're here. And I think if we do it, it's going to be damaging. Because, you know, I feel like probably, I don't know, but people who have kids, I imagine it's hard to focus on your kids if you're addicted. And then it'll be you and your kid next to each other and you're on your phone and your kid is on their iPad or whatever and y'all are together. But how do you bond with your kids?
That's a good point.
There is a study apparently that's been out. It's recent, but they're saying that like young girls are, which they have always thought, but I guess through research they have been able to like significantly conclude that young women, little girls are depressed from social media because of the outside pressure that they feel. Could you imagine if that was what we had to deal with in high school and middle school? We didn't have that. We had the regular Regina George situation.
Girl,
but they have that. They have, and it's just like, you talking about a little girl. I'm 35 and I'm depressed sometimes. So could you imagine a 15, 13-year-old young lady?
I was depressed and I'd be stressed now thinking about my future child because like what in the recent years past, maybe 5-ish plus years, like
Mm-hmm.
when prom season comes around and like they're showing the kids showing up in helicopters and Lamborghinis and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what will I do when I have children? Because I'm not about that life, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want my kid to feel like they don't have what other kids have because of certain things. And I'm like, I can imagine that being depressing. I can imagine like seeing certain things what other kids are doing and how they're living and feeling like you have to live up to that, especially as a young impressionable kid. Because I'm like, as a freaking adult, I'm like, heck, what am I going to have to do as a parent in however many
Mm-hmm.
years? You know, like what
Yeah.
will I have to be doing to keep up so that my kid doesn't feel like
Yeah.
we
The
live
poor
in
kids. And it's not,
we
I'm
live
sure
in
it's not
a
little.
terrible life because
Yeah, it's
keeping up with social media, like like back in the day, it used to be like for us with like our image, it used to be little things like, oh, do you
like
we used to have
shoes,
Chinese slippers. Like at one point that was the
clothes.
thing, and it was you can
Yeah.
get that for $1 at the freaking hair store. And now like the kids are like, if you're not stepping in certain brand, if you don't have like a
Mm-hmm.
Prada, who are you even as a 14-year-old child? Like
Yeah.
what? So I
And
can't
it's
imagine.
little boys as well, I'm sure. It's not just a little girl
Yeah,
thing. And I
it's
think they're
both.
trying to oblige Facebook and social and Instagram to curate it better for their mental health. And I hope they are made to do it because it's so irresponsible. And again, you want to talk about national security? If the children are start being unable to cope in life, work with other people at jobs, that's going to be a problem for national security because people won't be able to work. People won't be able to conflict resolve because they won't know how to talk to each other. Or if they're down and out because they just feel like they don't compare to anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
that's not good. So,
It's
girl, I don't
not.
know.
It's
I
not.
just
And we can't blame the internet, but it's how we interact with the internet. It's about our own
mhm.
belief systems. It's about our own confidence. It's about being, remembering that you don't know somebody else's life. So, like, you can't compare yourself 100% to what somebody else is doing with their life
Yeah, it's
because you
definitely
don't
not
you
real
don't know the
life.
life they're living.
Mhm.
So, like I
Yeah,
can
like
definitely
mhm.
understand because it's affected us both. Like I can definitely understand where like um social media can make you feel bad. It can make you
I was just
feel
done with
bad
it
about
like a
you.
month ago. I was done with it about a month ago, and I was just like, I tend to not compare myself to other people. I think a little bit better than most. I tend to like have. Uh, I would say I suffer from higher self esteem than low self esteem. So really, but it's just like, and that's and that also can show like even supposedly the people anybody can be affected. I'm not trying to brag that I have like a higher self esteem than most, but it's just like you have to um anybody can get caught up in it. You
Mhm.
have to set your own kind of like personal guardrails about like your boundaries
Mhm.
because it's like damn, why do I feel bad about myself?
Yeah.
And not that I'm not happy for those other people, but it's just like I need to stop comparing myself to other people. I need to get this like out of my mental atmosphere because it's not good. I'm not having good thoughts about it, good
Mhm.
thoughts about myself. And I don't, if that's happening, that's when I need to know it needs to go.
Right.
So if that means I have to go to not having an Instagram, I don't know how you do that and want to be a content creator, but
I think that the important part is to like limit yourself, limit
yeah,
your
have limits.
interactions, and also another thing is to like disengage from things that make you feel bad about yourself. Like a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
people don't do that. Like you'll hope maybe you're looking for inspiration, but after a certain period of time you're like, I'm not getting there, I'm not getting there, I'm not getting there. And once it starts being negative like that, like maybe you just need to pivot and like change what you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at on social media, like whether it's changing the amount of time that you're looking at something or maybe just changing the content that you're looking at. um
Mm-hmm.
but it's got to be something. It's like you can't just look at things or watch things that just kind of make you feel like down and out about you. Like, if you got to look at some puppies, go ahead and look at some puppies. Because if that's the only thing that's gonna make you feel good, then that's it. But yeah, I think it's just important to maybe disengage or maybe change what you're looking at.
Because if you're doing it too much, like you said, it can become an addiction, and we just probably just have one idea of what addiction is, and that's probably to drugs or alcohol. But you can be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to a relationship. You can be addicted to working too much. You can be addicted to making money. Like, social media can definitely be an addiction, and it was hard to hear when you said it, but I think it was true. And I wanted to talk about it. Huh?
I said, I'm gonna be real about me, because I realized, I was like, well, I'm addicted. Like, because how have I seen everything that could be seen on Instagram? What? I was like, I gotta take a step back. I got a problem.
That's different. But I kind of wanted to talk about it here with our friends, because just to kind of be a little bit vulnerable and just say that, like, yeah, like, no, it made me feel a bit bad about myself.
And I think the fact that both of us have experienced that, like, both you and I have experienced that. It's like a sleight of tongue. Both you and I have experienced that. We're not the only ones. I'm sure at some point our friends there in the podcast world and our friends in real life, like, has felt some way about themselves after engaging with something on social media. Like, because I think it's natural. Like, yeah, like you mentioned, like, you know, we can have our confidence and have really high self-esteem, but that doesn't change the fact that sometimes you want to be at a place where you're not. And when you see other people consistently, if you're seeing other people at a place that you're not, it's going to make you feel bad.
And you have to remember, like, just because you don't have it now doesn't mean it will never happen for you.
Facts.
And we need to be happy for what we do have, because what we do have was once a time where we wanted it and we didn't have it.
Right. Big facts.
And that's it. Like, take it a day at a time. But, like, yeah. What do you think that we could maybe suggest, if anything? You mentioned, what is that thing called? Like a hiatus? I've never done that. You have done that.
A couple times. I do suggest a hiatus, because it's important to live in the real world than living in our brains or living on social media. So taking a hiatus, I like your suggestion what you were doing before, of just like 1 hour of social media, whether it's in the morning, in the afternoon, before bed, whenever, maybe only taking 1 solid hour a day to, be online. That I think is a really good thing. And I also would say just maybe having hobbies, like whether those hobbies include other people or if it's just a solo hobby, but like taking time, whether it's like reading or taking time to listen to a podcast, hint, hint, honestly, friends, or painting or drawing or singing or writing or hanging out with a friend or walking your dog or going for a walk or exercising. Like, make sure you take time to do those other things.
I did read the other day about, like, how having a hobby can save your life. Like, that was the title. I didn't read it, but that makes sense. Like,
girl,
no, I didn't read
the title.
I didn't read it, but it made sense. So it makes sense, because I have had several hobbies throughout life. So, and they keep me busy. Like, baby, I can entertain myself like nobody can. So I think that does help. And I probably have stopped doing some of those hobbies and got more into like being a voyeur and looking at social media. And I need to dial back and get back to my hobbies. I think that will help. So friends, what do you think? Have you ever grappled with feeling, inadequate or incomparable to the things that you see in social media? And if you did, what were some ways that you were able to navigate right back out of it? Please hit us up on social media at Honestly Friends Pod, and we will see y'all next time.
Hit us at Instagram. Bye-bye.